Brent Nolan owns Blunt Agency, and they're a brand agency based here in Bendigo, and they service some of the top brands in Australia and in some industries, the top brands in the world. I talk a lot about brand and about the importance of it in this episode with Brent. You'll find it fascinating. For those who think branding is incredibly overpriced, minute changes to a logo, then this episode will really blow your mind. There is such an impact that an organization's brand has on the whole organization, from aligning team members to aligning messaging and branding and marketing, but also finding business cases and opportunities within markets that you were not otherwise aware of. This episode is jam-packed, and we have a really great and robust discussion right at the end about AI and the impact of those tools in an industry that is very traditionally very heavy on people time to do things that AI can now do very quickly. So strap in. It's a great episode, and I hope you really enjoy it. Let's take it away. Brent, welcome to the studio, which you are very familiar with.
I am.
How many paces are we from your desk?
What, 15?
15 paces? Yeah. I reckon I'm about 5 paces from mine, 15 from yours. I asked you to be on this podcast ages ago. We haven't got around to it, and I'm so glad that you're here with me now. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, well, thanks for the invite.
Yeah,
it's great to be here.
Blunt. Let's be blunt, shall we?
Let's.
Blunt is the name of your agency.
Yeah.
Please tell me and our listeners, what is Blunt?
Yeah, okay. So there's 3 aspects of who we are or what we do as an agency. So there's our strategy component, which is brand strategy. Our implementation side of things, which is actually, I should probably go back a couple of steps.
Yeah, go on.
So we're a brand agency.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
And which encompasses not only brand, but design,
Yep.
A bit of advertising, marketing as well. But primarily we would refer to ourselves as a brand agency.
Yeah, good one.
And there's 3 bits within that.
Yeah, tell
so
me.
There's the strategy kind of things, which is all about brand strategy. It probably verges on a little bit of business strategy in that, but we try to keep more to the brand strategy side of things. But you do find that you solve business issues within that.
Yeah.
There's the implementation stage, which is all about content for any channel that our clients basically are within. So we try to look at that, where our clients' audiences are, and build out appropriate content for that. Very design-heavy agency. I'm a designer by trade. Most of our team are as well. So we're obviously heavily geared around that as a way to sort of implement. And our third area is our nurture side of things. It's that ongoing relationship with the customer. So we kind of look at what does a brand need in order to sort of operate and be healthy and work. Ultimately, you need good foundations at the start. Yeah. Follow that through with really good execution. Yeah. But you also need to maintain that ongoing relationship as well. Yeah. So within that, we're looking at evolution of the brand as well. So we might be looking at how we evolve a brand over time, any refinements that sort of go on that, which links back to the strategy. Yeah. But you've also got things like MarTech and automation and any platforms like that you're leveraging there. Yeah. And just anything that sort of enables that ongoing relationship with the customer. So it's it's important, but it's certainly one of the 3 things that we do, and we see that all of those are actually really important.
Nice, I like that. So tell me, what are some of the clients and industries that you serve? What type of client becomes a Blunt client?
Yeah, so it's pretty diverse as far as industry goes. So one of our key clients is GJ Gardner Homes. We've been working with those guys for probably about 9 or 10 years nationally. We do some work for the US guys as well. They're in the top 10 builders within Australia, largest franchise builder globally, I do believe. So,
wow.
they're quite unique in that sense. We work with financial services companies, Core Cordis, who are in the administration and insolvency space. So we do a lot of work with those guys. Bendigo Bank, we do some work with those guys. We've worked with sort of animal health products, retail, a lot of shopping centres. Primarily, I think the type of clients that we're working with are sort of larger national brands.
Yeah.
But it's not category specific.
Yeah.
It's a good spread. And we do find that our process sort of, regardless of the industry that they're in, especially in that strategy component, we sort of develop the insights. So we develop that market awareness during that process.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a real mix.
Yeah, it is a mixed bag, but they're all pretty great brands, and they're all I've seen them after you've worked with them, right? So I don't know where you've taken them from, but they're all pretty big. They're all really good brands. The work you've done is really great. Tell me why Bendigo? So you're based here in Bendigo. Has that always been the case, and how is that unique in how you operate as an agency? Because there's not many brand agencies that operate to your scale or to the level of services and clients that you serve in town or in regional Victoria even.
Yeah, good question. So prior to Blunt, I had an agency that we were based in Melbourne, and I was working from Bendigo, and that's probably maybe 10 to 15 years ago now, actually more like 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
So I was operating we'd moved back. I was in Melbourne in studios down there, set up my first agency, had a business partner at that time, and we had a Richmond studio as well as me being based up in Bendigo.
Right.
And that was just lifestyle choice as much as anything else.
Right.
Our family, my wife and my family are both up here. So there was that, we were just having our first child at that time. So there was reasons to sort of move back. We probably operated that way that agency had for about 5 years. And for the most part of that, I didn't really, speak about the regional presence.
Yeah.
We sort of did to some degree, depending on who we were speaking to, but people didn't really know. And even working remote was not even a thing then. So I would travel down to the Melbourne studio maybe once, twice a week.
Yeah.
And to just sort of, almost do meetings from there as much as anything else, and then go back to the home-based studio and work from there to get the work done.
Right.
The reason we did it was lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
But the value of it has sort of come out over time as well. And I think one of the things that I found, and probably where it's changed a little bit with Blunt, is we've just had our Bendigo studio, so we haven't had Melbourne offices as well.
Yeah.
I don't think, post-COVID especially, I don't think anyone actually really cares.
No.
The amount of meetings that we have, it's face-to-face meetings I'm talking minimal.
Yeah.
It's if they are, they're very relationship based. We might do brand workshops sessions. That's different. That's almost a productized approach to the way in which we work.
Yeah.
But the majority of those kind of relationships now converse over video, and with a spread team, like teams are no longer all in the same spot a lot of the time as well. So it's changed a lot, and I think you can sort of fall into that trap of thinking that it's always been this way, but back then it certainly wasn't. But so for the first, let's say 7 years of doing Blunt, we certainly did promote that we were based in Bendigo, but again, it wasn't, depending on the client, it wasn't really relevant to the conversation.
Yeah.
What we've found over time, though, is that understanding of not only the metro audiences, but the regional and rural audiences as well, and that nuances there is actually of value to a lot of national brands.
Yeah, wow.
And if you look at sort of the agency landscape, and there was a report on this, I'm not sure if it was Ad News or BNT or one of the publications wrote a bit of a write-up on it, but one of the things they were discussing was agencies, especially Melbourne ones, a lot of the people that are in those teams are from international, and they haven't even driven out into regional or rural areas. So the understanding of the nuances is hard to, you can get your brief, you can get your specifics on paper, but until you actually interact with people, probably in a social sense, beyond metropolitan areas, you really don't get that feel for how things are. And it changes a lot throughout Australia as well.
Yeah, of course. But that's really interesting that you have a lot of international migrants working in brand agencies in metro centres. We know that in marketing, if you don't know your audience, if you don't know your client's audience, then you're really starting on the back foot, right, of working out what the brand needs to, who the brand's targeting and who it needs to speak to, right?
Yeah, and I think it probably speaks back to that strategy component and doing that well and establishing that understanding. But you're 100% right. There's things that if you grab the right people to be involved, there's things that they speak about that are, well, as you would know about storytelling and micro stories. It's those small stories within the bigger story that sometimes if you don't go deep on either your strategy or your experience, you sort of don't pick up those. And I think they're the things that are often very captivating within a brand kind of story. I would say though that we've hired people that have been international, or come from overseas or studied here and then sort of work for us. I'm finding more and more it's actually really hard to, especially with designers. There's not as actually many Australian people within the market. So I would say that probably 80% of applicants that we get are international. So you've kind of got to look at it. It's not just us as an agency hiring regional people. Because that's sometimes actually very difficult if you want to get the quality. But actually, how do you hire people and build a process in so that they can get that kind of understanding of whatever the client is, wherever they are. But it does help to sort of understand that there's more to Australia than your metro audiences.
Totally.
Or your metro kind of areas, because it's, there's a lot of nuances in other areas.
It seems like, from my perspective, having being based here in the Emporium Creative Hub alongside you for 3-4 years now, maybe.
5
years, yeah. Wow, we're getting
2020.
on, aren't we? Yeah, 2020. That's right. 5 years. Oh my golly, it's been a while. It seems like you've really lucked out on talent. You've had some good people in and through, and what's your experience been of managing that challenge of getting good staff?
It's a difficult one because people management is a challenge within itself. What we have found, it's been a couple of people come and go. The 3-month trial is a bit of a killer for people sometimes when they come in. If you hire based on hoping, but you kind of fire based on knowing. And I don't like to use the word fire, but sometimes the relationship isn't the right mix, and you try to do as much due diligence there as possible. But we've had some really good team members that have stuck around for a long time. Pat and Jeremy were two that have been there for. Pat was 9-10 years. Jeremy was 5, I think. And they were the first kind of ones. And I think that the thing that I've learnt with employing people is, you sort of hire based on skill sets and where they complement the existing team, because you don't want replications of yourself. You want that challenge of thinking and thought and ideas. But you also want to try and find the people that are the right mix for the team and the team around you. If you get that right, it sort of runs very well. And also, people sometimes come along in their own personal journey with work and accepting that they hit a point too where they need to go on to the next experience, and you hope that the skills that you've imparted in that time create the opportunity for them. Like it's not a one-way kind of street. So I'd like to think that, they come, they learn, we all learn and gather something from that experience.
Yeah.
And then, you want them to stick around, but it's not always the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not suitable and,
Yeah.
you sort of deal with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always an interesting challenge hiring and finding the right people. Plus we're attracting them from usually other places in Bendigo as well. You know, like latest round of job applications that we've had in, most of them are coming from Sydney, a lot from Melbourne, a couple of them Bendigo as well. But, we might have had 60, 70, 80 applicants, and there might be 5 or 6 that are from Bendigo.
Wow.
So, like often you're hiring from elsewhere. So there's considerations beyond just, you're here, come and work with us. It's actually, you're moving here. You're committing to us, we'll commit to you. And just sort of, it's not just the workplace. It's like, how do they settle within the community as well?
It's an interesting point of hiring, and probably one that I've been able to witness a bit closer. It seems like Blunt and your approach to hiring and to staff in general is not the classic kind of precious mentality about, we're best buddies when we're working together, but if you leave, then you're the enemy. Like there's
no, I don't. You never burn a bridge.
No, never, because I think Blunt Agency's been a pretty influential part of growing the creative industry ecosystem in Bendigo. I've seen multiple people come in through Blunt and develop their own thing after leaving, and we've got people surrounding, coming in and out that have been that, right? Still here in the Emporium. Like, how do you approach, staff and team? Like you mentioned, it's great if they stay, but sometimes you have to exit them, and then sometimes they say, well, my time here is up. I'm doing something different now.
Yeah, like I think there's that relationship component, and sometimes things are not always smooth with someone. So, but I think at the end of the day, beyond the work side of things, there's people trying their best at life. And I don't begrudge that. Like, there's certainly a competitive spirit within everyone. But I think there's enough work to go around. And I think as well that if you, like, there's people who have gone and then were brought back for a month. You know, Pat come back for a month. When he finished up at another role that he went. So it was, if you got the relationship there and those people, and you enjoy working with those people, it's you don't know what it's around the corner.
I think you've touched on a key point there. It's about the scarcity versus abundance mentality, and if you kind of see, the potential work pool of potential work as a finite small pie, that if you invest in someone and they, you grow them and they become capable and then leave, that they will somehow bite into that pie and there'll be less for you and less for your, business, business coming your way. And honestly, I see it everywhere, but there's a completely different perspective that I can see that you probably have, and you can tell me if I'm right. Is that this idea that there's more work than can be done by every business, every brand agency you personally know, right? And there's still brands that go international for their work, let alone go to Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, wherever. So there really is no shortage of work for businesses that are looking to find it.
I think, like, if we were just working in Bendigo and trying to sustain a team of 5 or 6 or whatever it is, that would be a different story. But it's not where we work and how we work.
Yeah.
We'll take on Bendigo clients if they're the right fit for us both.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, we're sort of hunting for the opportunities beyond Bendigo, and I think with that kind of scope, and it's when we look at who we're up against, we're not up against sort of freelancers and all that.
No.
Like they offer a different value proposition.
Yeah.
There's going to be specialists that'll come in and do stuff. But really we're looking at, who are the best 10 brand agencies in Australia, and that's where our eyes are focused. Sort of like how do we compete against them and make sure that if people are pitching or getting asked to quote on stuff, that we're in that mix somehow. So like you could spend a lot of energy and time trying to guard your sort of your home base.
Yeah.
And I think you got to keep there's stuff that you keep to yourselves. And your team need to, because a lot of these people that you have had in your company, are doing their own things, and there's potential conflicts of interest there. But you also try to get there and go, well, just my attitude is that if something's to do with our client, we don't speak to anyone about it. Like it's just off the table. I'll tell you about experiences and if stuff's launched and all that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, if a client's active, it's just not discussed. Yeah. And I think that for me is kind of the attitude that you sort of take with your employees as well. Just, small community. These people are our friends. We're social. Yeah. But just, don't talk about client stuff.
Yeah. Totally. Let's take a step back a little bit, and I want you to unpack the market, like the brand as a service, and then where Blunt sits in the agency kind of model. So let's stick with brand. Like for those who may never have engaged a brand agency, or had a look inside one, what does the service really look like, and why do clients engage you? Tell me a little bit about what this word brand means.
Yeah, because it's often just there's benchmarks between when people are throwing out brand, your ears pick up. Yeah. But then when you hear about their explanation of brand, you kind of go, oh, actually, that's not how we view it. Yeah. So we kind of view it as a perception that we are trying to manage within the market. And there's obviously different touch points on that, but it's strategically led. Like you can't control anything or define anything if it's not planned out. Yeah. So if you haven't got the strategy behind it, you're kind of just a graphic designer. And that's what we were. So up until probably 6-7 years ago, although we would have been referring to ourselves as a brand agency, we hadn't really cemented our process in that. So we were graphic designers who loved the idea of brand, but didn't have a cemented structure of how we worked through that process. Yeah, right. What we were finding is we would come up with good ideas, and we probably got to touch on a few times where we developed campaigns that were outward-facing campaigns for clients that were centered around a real, I guess, a unifying idea, something that both within the organisation and also outside the organisation understood, got behind, and sort of developed the traction of. And what we understood is that we were actually probably building brands in the way in which we are now, but didn't really have that strategic component on it. And it depends on where we were stepping into the conversation as well. So some clients would come to you and go, we want to develop out this campaign or refresh our brand, and we go through the process almost like what we are now. But then there would be others that go, we want a new refresh design done for our organisation. So they'd come in, request that, and we'd go, okay, well, we just start visualising stuff and looking at maybe competition and creating variations on that. And we'd go through the process, and we'd never really know whether we had done it justice. Like visually it might look great, but you didn't know whether there was a true alignment with the customer, because even when we were dealing with marketing teams, and primarily people we work with are CMOs and national marketing managers. So they've actually got a fair degree of understanding, and we would get fed some information, but there'd be gaps. And because there would be gaps prior to be sort of moving in the brand station, instead of actually trying to resolve that before we'd even move on to the implementation or visualization stage, we just have questions and guesstimate. And I've kind of found in business, as much as anything else, that where you guesstimate, you can guarantee that's the thing that's going to fall over.
Good one.
Yeah, so you kind of learn your lessons in those things. But the brand strategy thing, if you think about it from managing perceptions, and it's underpinned by strategy, we're not too dissimilar to a ad agency or a design agency, or probably more so a design agency. But we introduce that layer on the front end because we understand that if we don't bring that, it detracts from the value of everything else that we're doing. So we introduced it as a way to get the answers to questions that we had that we weren't getting. What we were finding also is that CMOs and marketing people, they often had a very much a marketing lens on the world. And their knowledge was kind of formed around that. So there was a lot of gaps in the way in which you build out a brand that they just hadn't done. So what we were finding is, we view our role as very much in partnership with CMOs to get them to where they need to go. So at different times that looks different. So at the start of the relationship, it's like, let's get our heads around how we're going to position, audience variances, how do we speak to those audiences, message structures in order to speak to those, and then the visualization to align to that. So there's all these kind of granular nuances on how to approach and tactically go after audience or audiences, separate from marketing campaigns and advertising campaigns that will come off the back of it.
So the marketing and advertising things that you're saying that, CMOs generally have a really good understanding of different marketing methods, advertising platforms, strategies. But the gaps you were finding were more in the foundations that underpin those
brand
things. The brand.
So by sort of defining that and helping them clarify a lot of those points, you're almost building out the brief as well of what's got to come after it. So that's probably the difference between us and a design agency. It's that strategy component that builds the foundation. Now, you could kind of look at that and go, oh, okay, really what you're doing is getting that understanding of the business in order to inform design. But it's not actually that as well, because there's a lot of business things that get solved in that strategy piece as well that not only impact everything that comes out, but impact how the business moves forward.
Is that kind of like their customer experience? The more that you understand about the customer, the more you understand what their operational kind of delivery methods need to look like?
It can, but it's probably more fundamental on who are we? Or actually, who is our customer? What is the problem that we're solving for them? And how do we speak to them with clarity, around that, so they understand that we are the best ones to solve that problem. And I think once you get an idea that's quite uniforming from an organisation standpoint, if it's singular and it has clarity, everyone sort of gets in behind that, understands what their role is. And organisations aren't, big organisations have lots of different roles, lots of different functions. We've got the hands, we've got the feet, we've got the head. All those parts of the body come together to form this brand. But when you know your role within that, like if you're a customer service person and you know how we're trying to be perceived in this relationship versus, let's say you're a software developer and you're building out an application to deliver a customer-facing experience, and it needs to also reflect that same position, experience, perception. Two very different I guess, experiences or people involved
Yeah.
with skill sets. But if they know what we're trying to achieve, it does a lot to sort of unify the organisation. And also people, they kind of get behind it as well. Like it becomes part of their identity if done really well.
Yeah.
And you find it, with some of the bigger organisations who do that really well. It's not just an advertising or a marketing initiative. It's actually a cultural initiative as well.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there about the impact on culture, right? Because it is wrapped up in this thing called brand is the reason for the company existing and the value that they bring to the world. And if there's pockets or people within the organization that have genuinely no idea what the value of that brand has in this world, apart from delivering a simple or sometimes complex service, then you're going to have inefficiencies, you're going to have wastage when it comes to consistency of client experience and building on good experiences for repeat business or referrals or just a team that knows what they're doing and can clarify on a personal task by task basis what's important and what's not. And then the motivation level for that person to be working. I think I read a book, what was it? It was the 4-day work week.
Yep.
And there was a report out of, I think it was out of England, but I'm going to butcher the stats, so I won't even try, but it was a very high percentage of time spent in a 5-day work week was ineffective time.
Yep.
And like the efficiency on a per kind of worker basis was it was something ridiculous. It was like, but it could have been around 10% or 10 to 20% of time spent by employees was effective time. That blows your mind, right?
Yeah, especially if you go collectively on a large organisation and what we could be doing with that.
That's monstrously huge dollars.
Yeah, and look, I know you've got your head around this because Hebron is quite process driven in the way in which you like to go about things. When you're dealing with really large organisations, they kind of start to get to a point where any inefficiency, they see the cost to that, so they try to build out really structured process to work through stuff.
Yep.
Brand is exactly that, but it's doing that with who we are, who we're speaking to them, who we're speaking to, and how we speak to people.
Yeah.
So it's no different. It's a process. There's a pathway. There's a direction within it, and ultimately the purpose of the brand strategy, regardless of the person in the organisation, is to get them walking the same path.
Yeah.
Because and you would have seen this, what typically happens is you get within an organisation there's varying different degrees of capability, understanding, cognitive ability. I think when we try to develop systems, what we're really trying to do is level things. You always you want your great people within an organisation, but you're trying to lift everyone up as well by this is the best way to do this.
Yes.
Don't guesstimate it.
Yeah.
We've spent 10,000 hours working out this sales strategy.
Yeah.
We've invested so much time in this. Keep to it.
Yeah.
Don't go and create your own script. This is the way in which we've worked it out.
Yeah.
We're kind of doing the same with brands. So, yes, you've got your own personality, and yes, you should be able to bring that within the brand framework. But at the end of the day, you've got to achieve something for the organisation.
Yeah.
So let's work towards alignment to that rather than distraction and moving somewhere else.
So what we're really saying is brand is more than the visual identity, the logo of a place. Like
that's a component of it.
Yeah.
It's often, and often when we speak to sort of creative agencies or design agencies, when they talk brand, that is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They're talking about their website, their logo, their marketing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For us, that discussion of brand is so far before we get to that.
Yeah.
Because we want to, when we get to that, we want to do a really good job on it.
Yeah.
We love, designer by trade. It's what we're passionate about, but what we hate is doing a shit job on that because we don't have the information up the start. So
and you, like you said before, you have to fill in gaps. You have to guess and come up with answers that for questions you haven't asked yet. And that inherently will result in a visual identity that maybe just doesn't hit the nail on the head, or who knows, what will happen, right?
A lot of the time, it's actually not just what visually you're saying, but it's actually what you're saying. Like your messaging structure. Like we were working on we had a client, Singapore client, who were in the tech space. They have quite a complicated or unknown piece of technology that is it brings digital offers within point of sale systems. So any point of sale systems. Convenience stores sell tangible products, petrol, all that kind of stuff. But what it's done is it's opened up a world of being able to bring digital products within that.
What?
The way in which it goes about that is actually really complex. It's incredibly difficult for people to build these kind of digital products into their point of sale without this platform.
Right.
What they've done is amazing. But we were speaking to the directors, the CEO and all that about their product. And there would be a degree of, they talk like tech people. They go, tell me about this simply. And they go into these layers and layers and layers.
That's not simply.
And they approach us because before we even looked at the visual stuff, it was about, and the engagement wasn't necessarily on our brand strategy in a broad sense. It was on the messaging. So we had to do who are we speaking to? They had quite a defined audience segment. Industry, people within an industry. But what they didn't have was simplicity of how you talk to them in a way that would be understood. And also variances in messages depending on what part of their product and that. So this layered system of messaging that creates this ability to, I won't say cut and paste, but cut and paste your structures of messages together so people get what you do.
So it's this complex thing. What kind of digital products are people injecting in a point of sale?
So there might be things like money orders. There might be, let's take money orders, gift cards, all those kind of things as well. But let's say that it's a money order and you go, oh, well, surely you could do a money order and transfer. But this whole layer of fraud protection that needs to be introduced. So it's not just the digital thing of, this is worth $10 and you sell it for $10. It's actually, how do you make sure that they are getting what they need, that the legal requirements are done within that, that there's the processing of all that in their existing point of sale infrastructure and back end. But you might even have things like trailer hire. It's a physical thing, but there's this hire service that's being applied in it. And you go, well, what do you need in that? Well, you need to know that they've got a license for a start. They're taking something away of value. Are those people those people?
Oh, wow.
There might be things on, digital products, like whether it was music or, different other products, but there's, thousands of different kind of products that are out there.
Wow.
And the guys who built out this had actually developed the product that become Afterpay as well. So they're smart guys. They're ahead of the curve in what they're doing. But it's like a product that isn't really known. You know what I mean? Like people go, digital products for point of sale systems, and go, what even is that? And it's not just what is it, but how do you get it? Like, what's the thing that's transferred? Is it transferred to my phone? Sometimes. Is it transferred in other ways? But the common thing is it's got to go through a common point of sale system. Otherwise, and you would have seen this, what happens is you get third-party products. You walk into a restaurant and there's a iPad there for Uber Eats and another one there for DoorDash. So really what I guess their system does, and I don't know if it really does it with these products, but what it's trying to do is go, you won't need additional hardware with what we're doing. It'll just come through us as a channel of activating. And the simplest way of describing it would be like a middleware thing, but it's this layer of, I guess, compliance that is behind the scenes that makes it, basically possible, that I think is the thing that people weren't getting. Because if a company, let's say 7-Eleven, were wanting to build out a product, it might cost them $1 million to build out one product,
right?
And it might take 2 years, and they might not even get it up. So it's a long, and this might be just for one thing. We want to sell gift cards, or we want to, allow money orders. Whereas because they've actually got this platform built out, that allows them access to digital products as well.
It's a plug and play thing that enables digital product.
Yeah, and quite quickly that you can have this up and running. So
it is quite complex, right? So you've been the one that they called and said, hey, we need to make this simple, and we need to build out some messaging that can be turned into our sales scripts, our communication in marketing, advertising.
Yeah. Like, how do we even go about? I think for the CEO, it was, as I was getting him to explain all these things, and there was lots of calls. Obviously, he'd work through stuff and. You'd reiterate things back, and he'd tell it in his technical way.
Yes.
And then you'd sort of sit there and go, are you trying to say this? He goes, yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying. Go, well, let's just simplify this down to this.
Say it that
and
way.
It was this granular process of building out this understanding in layman terms of a complicated thing, so that if I told my mother, she'd go, oh, okay. And there's layers to it. Like, if you're speaking to a technical guy within an organisation, there's obviously a higher degree of understanding within the person you're speaking to, and they're also wanting a layer of depth within that. But if you're speaking to the CEO who just wants to know, what is the value of this to my business? It's got to be pretty succinct.
Yeah. It's about wrapping the messages up for the right people and giving the right people the right messages. I literally recorded, you might have heard me, I did about 16 takes of a few ads that we recorded the other day in the office here. And that was one of the things, right? And it's amazing how I can see so many synergies in, you do things at a much larger scale than we do, but there's similarities in what needs to happen, right? Many clients, nearly all of them, think their thing is so complicated, and they kind of make it a bit complicated. They just don't really understand. They understand the thing, right? Really, really well. But it's like that saying, they can't see the forest for the trees. Like, they're just so in the weeds, they can't simplify it into language that a consumer needs to hear it in, and 10 different types of consumers need to hear it in. And it's the clarification. You are the bridge, similar to us. We are the bridge between the company and the consumer, and what you're filling that gap with is the brand.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we've found that comes out of the process, especially when you're working through the workshop and I guess the strategy component, often an organisation, the bigger organisations know this with a lot more clarity, but when you get down to the mid-tier and that, often they don't have 100% clarity on what is the value of the thing that they're selling to the customer. So you might have a product that you think is getting used in one way. This is how it's used, and there was a story that I heard, and it was through another marketing podcast, of I think it was a legal CRM platform or something along the lines of that. And someone was working through a branch rate, and if I get this wrong, I do apologise, but the gist of it was that when they worked through the process of going through and positioning this product, they done a lot of research with the customer base and asked, how are you using it? And what they found was most customers were using a component there of this software and not necessarily all of it. To solve a very specific problem. So once you sort of understood that, you go, actually, you think that you're offering this to the market, but in actual fact, you're offering something, well, the thing of value that people are really keeping
is
with
only
the
one component.
And you do this very well. And it might have been a knowledge centre for the legal space or something like that.
Yeah.
And another example of that with something that we've worked on, we were working on we had a client that was in the oil kind of production space.
Yeah.
And when we were working through the brand strategy process, really it was put to us that, we're trying to sell this oil-based product. How do we go about this? How do we position it and all that kind of stuff? And we're working through in a very linear sense around this idea that this product is the thing that is of value to the customer.
Okay.
And sometimes, you and this happened a couple of times to us, it's not great for us as far as billings on the project, but there's been a couple of times we've gone 3/4 of the way through the brand strategy process and gone,
oh, you discovered something.
Yeah, this isn't an opportunity. Like this is not, it's quite key business stuff. It's like, I don't think the opportunity's here. I think it's actually off to the side because it's bigger.
Wow.
So what we sort of discovered is the segment of the audience that knew or would buy this audience. It's quite a difficult task to promote something that people don't know about because you've got to educate a market and build up a market for something that might not already be there.
Yep.
And that's kind of the pathway that we were doing.
Yeah.
But then we got there and looked at all the problems that this oil solves, inflammation and a number of other things. We go, well, how big's the audience for people who are trying to solve problems around inflammation? And you go, actually, that's huge.
Right.
That's the problem we're solving.
Right.
It's not people looking for this type of oil. It's actually people trying to solve this problem.
Right. So it's not. We're not talking about engine oil here. We're talking about people use.
Yeah. People use oil.
Okay.
And you could topical as well as ingest it and all that as well.
Yeah.
But then we kind of got there and go, oh, that's quite a big thing, and there's lots of competition in there, as well as pharmaceutical-based products as well.
Yes.
We're going, well, what's the size of the market for people who prefer a non-pharmaceutical approach to treating this problem, as well as trying to solve this problem? And that was still quite a big market.
Yeah.
So for us, we were going, well, here is our audience because this is the problem that we're solving, and and ultimately we should be speaking to them about the problem that we're solving for them.
Yes.
And yes, it's got this active ingredient which they'll understand and they'll build that knowledge up, and that'll be a point of difference, but it's not the way in. So sometimes when you go through this journey of the brand strategy, you end up realizing that the thing that they thought that was the thing isn't the thing.
And it informs how you need to lead in a customer or bring a customer in. Like, instead of going, we've got this, whatever the oil is, like Yu Yang's oil. If you're looking for Yu Yang's oil, then we're your people. Rather, you're saying you got there and went, well, this type of oil actually solves this problem. If you lead with, skin inflammation, people looking to solve skin inflammation rather than people looking to get some Yu Yang's oil, then you're actually going to sell more of that oil, and you're going to educate them faster because they're not
the
looking
business
for
opportunity?
They're not looking for the actual ingredient list. They're looking to solve a problem.
Yeah, and that's ultimately the nuggets of gold that you're trying to find in the brand strategy process. It's not what great messaging is going to resonate, which is one thing of it, and it's actually getting further down the line.
Yes.
It's actually what's the untapped or undiscovered secret about this business or product that they will be able to leverage for commercial benefit.
I love that. That's a really powerful service that you're offering. I'm wondering, what level of business do you have to be at to warrant engaging a brand agency like yours? Like, is this completely unattainable for SMEs under 50 million?
Look, we've been working through a brand strategy and rollout for a fitness-based brand for a sort of well-known footballer, like one of the best AFL footballers. And
still under wraps.
Still under wraps.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't divulge it just yet. But they're a startup. what they wanted to know is, in this landscape where there is many,
Yeah.
how do they get clarity on where they should be positioned? How do they talk to the audience? Their product was quite different in the way in which they're going it. So
Yep.
it was really about not just leveraging the product, but how do they create something around that that creates that culture or
Cool.
a thing bigger than just the product. Like if you're going in with just product,
Yeah.
Exceptional product builds brand as well, but you kind of sometimes need more for the longevity, especially if you evolve over time.
Yeah.
So they were a startup.
Yeah.
I think it's more how you view where you're going and what you're trying to achieve.
Yep.
If you are a localized small business where there's not a lot of competition, you're one of two or three, then strategy will always be of value because it'll actually build efficiency within your business because you know who you're speaking to, what you've got to say, how you've got to go about it, the plan of attack and all that. So it's great from that standpoint. But whether you go and spend tens of thousands on getting an agency to do it is, I guess another question, especially when you've got a lot of other startup costs in that as well.
Yeah.
But if you've got the budget, you will end up recouping it.
Yeah.
Like it'll come back to you because you've got more clarity, and you would hope that as you scale, you're able to leverage that and sort of define your position within the market.
Yeah, and you'd probably be on a much more secure path, right? Like once you have the answers to a lot of these questions and the insights that you're able to gather, then that should bring a level of confidence and security in what is a very challenging road. Business is a challenging road, and the more questions you can have answers to, the better that road seems to be, right? And the more confident you can be in taking calculated risks and going, well, we're going to go in this direction, not because I feel like it's a good idea, but because we've done this brand strategy, because we understand the market opportunity and what people want. Yeah.
And I think also there's that opportunity factor as well of if you're stewing over stuff, like if you don't make a decision, what people do is they avoid doing stuff. They avoid being active. And with marketing, really, you've got mental availability. They know of us. Physical availability, where they can get us from somewhere. So we're trying to build that. Right. Like if you get those two things where your product's available and we know of it, and you're in that mix, then often that's a really good strong point. But if you're not active, because you're going, what do we say in this marketing campaign? Oh, we need to put an email out to a client, and it takes 4 weeks to put together, rather than a couple of hours, because you haven't actually developed, don't know where you're going, you don't know what's relevant, you don't know who you're speaking to.
Wow.
So that time factor of not running at a pace that potentially your competition are running at, that's where this void builds out. So, those that are really well defined hit the tarmac really quick, and they're running and they're going and they're producing stuff that's relevant, and it's a lot more on cue as far as, speaking to the people who are relevant to their business. So I think there's a pace in which you want to move. If you want to go real slow, you'll learn from your things and you'll start to get a feel for, and even when you do a brand strategy, it's almost like you know a lot more, but you need that flex within your brand strategy that as a market evolves, a product mix, as a company evolves, you can tweak and refine your path forward. Because you learn from stuff. Without that, you've got a lot more learning that you've got to do, and you'll try a lot of things that maybe won't reach the right audience or won't even be the right audience, or you'll be telling them about a product that actually isn't your product. That's kind of where the speed in which you can get to market and have clarity sort of changes as well.
You know what I wish, Brent, is that every client that came to me had already come to you.
Well, and this is a thing for content producers who like we wouldn't expect with our messaging structure necessarily for a production studio to use it word by word.
No.
There might be some things that want clarity in that, but what it does is it gives real clarity around the thing that we're trying to talk about, and maybe the simplest way to talk about it. We'd hope that it would kind of get used in part, but sometimes the nuances of a story or a medium need a little bit of flex within that. And yes, it takes it from a 3 days of trying to write a script to, okay, we know what we're trying to communicate here, who we're speaking to, and this, you hit it a lot easier.
Yeah, too right. I've had so many clients, even when you're talking about the complex solutions with the Singapore tech business. I had a Canadian-based health and wellness product and therapeutic product, I should say, and incredibly complex. Like it's a brain training system built on mathematical things. It was crazy. And to try and communicate what this thing is. But to reaffirm what you're saying, when I was working with them, they didn't have a whole lot of brand strategy stuff done. And so we were having to answer questions without really the resource available to do a really fully fledged brand strategy. But it's like, as a marketer and video producer, it's like I'm in space, right? There's nothing to stand on, and I'm like, I could do anything.
But that's hard for creatives, isn't it?
It is hard. Like boundaries create really good spaces for creativity to happen. And when there's answers to the who, what they need to hear, where they are, what they care about, all of those things, like the messaging from a video production standpoint becomes razor clear, and I can see it perfectly because I know who I'm speaking to and I know what they care about. I know where the brand's going and what the outcome the business wants to have is, right? So all of the questions become answered. That just sounds like creative nirvana.
Yeah, and I think also what it does help with is understanding what you're creating, where that is within a journey as well. So we don't just create a messaging structure that hits people at the start as the end. Once they understand the problem that we solve or the base kind of product, where do you layer it up from there? And I think as storytellers, and you're not building one piece of content.
No.
You'd hope.
No. Put all your eggs in one basket and I don't know what the extension of that analogy is, but you won't have any more eggs. No one's going to take eggs.
As in it's just hit or miss. If it hits the nail on the head, great. But and we've always thought of brands as a bit of a layer cake arrangement as well. So you want them touching people across different levels, different mediums. Each medium has a time kind of parameter on it. Some, if it's a billboard, it's instantaneous. You've got to hit the nail on the head. If you've got social content, you might have 15 seconds, or it might be long form stuff as well. Get to the website, it might be a blog post. They're all trying to achieve, we're trying to achieve commercial outcomes. Growth, ultimately. Those things are all trying to achieve the same outcome for the business, which is growth. And obviously perception of the brand. But they are very different in the time they have and ultimately the way in which you're going to speak about things so people get it. So if you would hope that any content producers, when they're producing stuff, they understand the clear vision of who we want to be seen as and what we're trying to achieve. And then they're going through this timeline-based approach and going, first interaction, this is what they need to get. By the 10th one, this is really where we want to bring it home. But it's, over time, brands are built as well.
It's multiple touch points. That's the thing I always tell clients is if you put your hopes and dreams in this one piece of video content, bringing you from, here to here and making this huge difference, I'll just tell them straight up, it's not going to do that. Like
Yeah.
their marketing and advertising takes multiple touch points and across the customer journey to help propel them from one stage to the next, one level of awareness to the next, one level of motivation to the next, one level of trust to the next.
Yep, and variance is in the problem that you solve as well.
Yeah.
So, what's suitable for one, or why one person might use that product versus another might not be exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
You've got a campaign that's costing X amount.
Yeah.
How many customers do you need to come in off the back of that to pay for that and plus earn revenue for the business?
Yeah. This really ties it all in a pretty neat little bow, is that once we understand that marketing, advertising, requires lots of different touch points. It's a long journey, some longer than others, customer journeys. But once we understand this, we need to have as many things out and about working in this space as possible. The brand becomes incredibly important because all of those pieces, all that email campaign, the billboard, the TV spot, the social media presence, if it doesn't look and feel and sound like the same thing going in the same direction with the same beating heart, then you're going to be losing people, or you're going to be wasting time.
You'll confuse people.
You'll
That's
confuse people, right? And confusion loses all the time, every time. And so the brand is what brings that all together, right?
Yeah, it does. And I think, getting back to that question you asked about who would it be relevant for, I think it's relevant for all businesses, although I appreciate that there is a cost factor to it.
Yeah.
It's probably more relevant to mid-tier companies or companies that have certainly got the financial backing to define things really well from the start, who want to hit things hard.
Yeah.
If you're a small, localized business that is competitive, I think it's still worthwhile sort of developing out. We've got a brand strategy checklist on our website. Freebie. Just download it. Have a look at the steps.
Yep.
Even if you just clarify a few of those key things.
Yeah, great.
Just get them, give yourself some direction. It'll help you choose what's relevant, what's not, maybe even your pricing structure. It might even trigger you to go and do some research on things.
Yep.
You might do that research and go, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. There's not a big enough opportunity here.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people that I've discussed around stuff, and you would have found this. People talk about the opportunity, and you get there and go, oh, so what do you sell that for? How big's that audience?
Yep.
And you ask these simple questions, and they go, oh,
yeah, hang on a second.
I haven't actually gone that far down. I'm good at this, or I like this, so I'll do this.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes, asking those questions at least allows you to sort of pivot and go, okay, I can't play here. There's not the opportunity in here, but I can play here.
Yeah.
And that's, that.
So good. I love a good lead magnet and one that's actually valuable. So for free, where would they find it on your website? Is it pretty easy to find?
Yeah. You could maybe get it from the About section of our website.
Yeah, righto.
I think it's on there.
Good.
Yeah. And if not, email me and I'll send it to you.
Great. Good. What's your email address?
Brent.Nolan@bluntagency.com.
Yeah, awesome. There you go. You'll get it one way or another.
Yeah.
Brent, we're kind of rounding out this episode, and I love, it feels like we've spoken for 10 minutes, but I just checked the time and it's been a bit more than that. I love this stuff because, this is
what you do.
It's what I do, right? And I love sales. I love defining opportunities for business. Like that's just, it's so much fun. But I want to hear a little bit about the nuts and bolts behind your business briefly. This is a business audience. People listening to this really understand how a business model's made up, but love getting a window into how you've structured business and how you've built it, how you've grown it. So tell us a little bit about your journey in growing and what you've discovered. Have you pivoted at all to change your model? What have you found works for you when it comes to business?
Yeah, like I think one of the biggest things I've touched on that was the brand strategy thing. So as a traditional design studio, we were finding we weren't bringing the value that we wanted, and we weren't at the start of the conversation enough.
Right.
And we were doing brand strategy bits, but it was ad hoc and it wasn't a defined product. So that made it hard. People would ask you advice and you end up solving some of it, but it wasn't right. So that was a big kind of shift in how we worked. I think the other thing, and the reason that we tend to work with larger national brands is ultimately we prefer to work on a retainer base with clients, which gives stability.
Yeah.
And also that relationship of being able to work with clients in an ongoing sense across the board, simplify things for them. Like how do we, ultimately that's the goal. We just want to make it easy for them to achieve the outcomes and where they're going.
Yeah.
So, we've looked at all our systems and our process to enable that. So we have a project management system which is centralised, and we implemented this fairly early on because of our remote model.
Yeah, right.
When you're working with different stakeholders that aren't necessarily in the same office, that all need to look over stuff, approve stuff, provide feedback. We needed to centralise that. So probably 10 years or so, probably even more now, it's probably 12, 13 years, we moved to a project management platform where all communications on any piece of work were assigned and discussed through that platform.
Nice.
That for us that changed everything.
Yeah.
And then, you've obviously got your infrastructure-based things of how we work with clients from a content standpoint. So you've got servers and those kind of things that are set up in order to provide security and backup and all those kind of things that you need in order to run a digital company, as you know, and not fall over. So you do those things as well. But structurally, we're only a small agency. There's 5 or 6 of us, depending on who's in the team at any given time. But usually we sit around that 5 or 6. It's pretty spread as far as experience as well. Like I've been a designer strategist for 25 years. We've got other teams that have been 10 or 15 years, and then you've got juniors that are coming through as well. And we try to have that mix of, I guess, talent moving through and up through the business.
Yeah.
The management platforms have allowed us not to have a project management layer within the business.
So you don't have any particular person hired for project
management? At the moment, we've always thought that probably once we get around that 10 in the team, we'll put on a studio manager.
Yep.
Because it's not my interest to micromanage all the time. It's not where I think I bring the most value as well.
Yeah.
So kind of knowing where your strengths are and where the strengths are within the team, and more so doing a really good job. I think once it gets to that level, the seniors within the team can't provide enough of a governance on the rest of the team that you would like it's that protective kind of layer. So we put someone on. We do like accounts are sort of managed not external within our team. Like actually that's probably our 7th employee who takes care of that. But it's a pretty flat layer of working in the opportunity for designers and creatives who step into our team. So the way in which we work through a process, it's partially to give the learnings, because we don't always expect juniors to come in and create the ideas that become the final thing.
Yeah.
But they'll never get to that level if they're not given the opportunity to learn through that experience.
Yeah.
So when a creative brief or a brand strategy comes in, we try to pair that up with a senior as well as someone who's moving up.
Yep.
And the mid or the junior will do a lot of legwork on finding out stuff and be working with the senior to go and work through that process. So they get the understanding of the strategy component when they come onto the team. And all of our team basically do a video series as well that gives them the core kind of base knowledge as well as what we teach them in addition.
Yeah, good one.
When we're working through visualization and creative, they get the opportunity to explore, directions in that. And components of that are typically leveraged and used. Often some of them will really hit the nail on the head, and that will become the thing that gets used. But we always give that opportunity. And I think as well, because we work with a lot of ongoing retainer clients, it's nice to freshen things up as well with that mix of stuff that they haven't even thought about. Like, it challenges their sort of thinking, which is important for the brands that you work on long term as well. Like, you kind of realise that there's that opportunity to evolve and to better even within the things that you're working on. So it's about creating opportunity for all people within the organisation to get better at what they do, because ultimately if you retain them and they go through the ranks, like, when we put Pat on, he was a junior and, sort of worked through to, a senior and strategy. So there's skills that sort of build up in that, and I think that's important. And it's also, as a business owner, you like to see that happening. You feel like you're doing, you enjoy people learning something.
And growing within your business.
100%.
Big time, very rewarding. What about you? Like, as the business owner, you do a lot of strategy, you're still designing. How do you fit your role within the business, and what does that look like with getting new clients and growing the business, working on the business, not in it?
That is always the battle with small organisations. Like, one of probably the done things within our organisation is our own marketing, our own socials, our own content. Because we're so damn busy on the work that we're doing for clients, sometimes we just don't have the opportunity. Like, I could probably do with a full-time marketer within the business who just does that. Probably not the cost that would come with that, but that ultimately that would be great.
The output would be great,
So I think as a business owner, there's two things that I'm trying to do. Is I'm looking for opportunities to do components of the sales process in a way that is a good use of my time. So prospecting stuff, we've been using platforms like Apollo, which is an outreach platform, which has been great, which gets that kind of initial kind of opportunity in the door. We've got platforms that, whether we're using HubSpot or SharpSpring CRM platforms, so that we can manage, and we do them for clients as well. The tools allow us to keep a pretty good lens on the opportunities that are there and what we need to be doing with that. We're working at ways, like something that's always a big eater of time is tenders and proposals and all that kind of work, especially if you're putting in, I guess, not just here's our capabilities, but
here's
some thoughts on what we could look at doing. That process is, it might take you a week to put together a proposal or a tender. Like, it's a lot of time. And if you're doing a pitch, it might take 2 or 3 people, and it can go up from there. It might take 2 or 3 people a month to prepare all the pitch stuff. So it's a big cost, and you kind of only want to go in it if you feel like you're in there with a real shot, or it's a really good opportunity. Usually the shot thing is what should define it rather than just the opportunity. So what I'm trying to do in my time, especially with my time, is build efficiency a little bit more, whether it's managing the things, the people that you employ. Amanda, who's an art director within our team, who was originally hired as a mid-level designer, but is now art director. I often get asked, what do you think of this? I have become more diligent in going, even if I do answer, I say, but get Amanda to make the call on it.
Good one.
So it's about letting go, like trusting the people that you've got on the team and their capability. Like, you want to hire people, especially if you're building into roles, you know that they've got the capability of doing that. And if they haven't, how can you get them to there? Because people don't always enter into a role exactly where you want them to be.
Yeah.
But if you give them the time, they'll get there.
Yeah.
Especially if you also help them along in that. But I think that for me was a big one where I wasn't distracted as much, especially when you had the confidence that the people around you could actually make a call and do possibly even a better job at it than what you would.
That's a game changer though, isn't it? When you get to the point where you think, these are the things I would generally have done myself, and now I don't need to do them and someone else can do them better. Is that not the best feeling as a business owner? It
makes you, like, I think when you've got a really small business, you see you've often built it off your expertise.
Yeah.
You know, I'm good at this. I have this knowledge. I know this market, and it forms off there. Once you hire a couple of people that you realise are either better at something or know something better than yourself, and you kind of let them run with that, you realise how much easier it is to head down that path. You mean to say I can just hire really good people and not have to do all the hard work other than, finding the opportunities?
Anyone running a bigger business that is not based on their expertise will be listening to this and going, yes, that's what business is.
Yes.
But we're sitting here going, wow, this is really cool. That's when you start to see some really cool things happening, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's the realization that when you start off as, maybe a consultant,
you
have to, the penny has to drop for that.
Yeah.
And I often hear people that have got product to sell versus people who sell a service.
Yeah.
And probably, I just manufacture it, put it on a shelf and it sells. And I don't have to do the service in order to build that work.
Yeah.
And as service people, we go, that sounds a lot easier. There's a whole heap of things that are wrapped up in that product and getting those sales. But I think the grass is always greener.
Yeah, that's right.
But yes, hiring people who are good and can do a job better at it than what you can.
Yeah.
It's like, as someone who instigates or is building the company, I've hit a point now where a recognition of something, if it's someone within the team or me directly, the feeling's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
As a designer in an agency, I was highly competitive.
Yeah.
A job would come in the agency, and if anyone was going to win that job within the agency, it wasn't just winning it in a pitch. It was like, no, I'm doing that job. So I would, do everything to make sure that the ideas that we're putting forward were my ideas. And we, companies I've been with in the past, we launched Hyundai Getz into Australia.
Wow.
We were working with Mitsubishi, Australia Post, Medibank Private, all those kind of top tier brands.
Yeah.
If there was a job to be done with those, and they were usually quite significant jobs, I was the one that was the hungriest for that, so made sure.
Yeah.
I never really thought that I'd get past that, to be honest. That for me was, and I don't think it was like a conscious decision. It was just a realization when I saw someone do some work in concept stage.
Yeah.
And I was equally as excited about that as something that I was working on.
Wow.
And even when I got into the pitch, that is the stuff that I wanted to go out under the Blunt umbrella.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a little bit selfish in a sense.
No, that's great.
But at the end of the day, it was like, as a team, you're equally as excited about what you're trying to create.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of building, businesses are often referred to like a ship, right? If you're the captain of the ship, you've just got as much pride in the excellence of your team as their excellence personally. It is an extension of your excellence, right?
Yeah, it is. I don't think I was built to be a CEO. Like, I think I do it at this kind of level, but I can tell that if we got to 10, 20 employees or whatever, I wouldn't be the person to steer that ship. I'm I'm probably not geared in a way that wants to micromanage every detail.
Yeah.
I certainly love ideas.
Yes.
I certainly like solving a problem.
Yeah.
But, as we scale, my role will change. Like I just know
So
it.
a really good level of awareness you've got, Brent, because there's this idea that I love it. It's the concept that there should be three people at the helm of every great business. Should be the entrepreneur, the operations person,
Yep.
and the artist.
Yep.
And so long as you've got those three capabilities and skill sets and interests covered, then you'll do really well. And what I can see, often the person, if the business is built on an individual's expertise or grown from consultancy into a business, then the person who owns the business is generally going to be the artist.
Yeah.
They're going to be the one that makes the products, that thinks about the new product or service, that does excellent work, that's just really nails the thing that the business does.
Yeah.
But you get to a scale of business and you require those other two skill sets, which you will already be employing. But what you're telling me, and why I say that's great self-awareness, is that you want to be the artist, right? And but the operations manager focuses on how do we create more efficiency in our process and how we do something, and how do we scale effectively as a team.
Yeah, and they love that.
Yeah, and they really get around it.
Yeah, I love design and marketing and strategy way too much to be thinking about the process that we're going to go through to do this more efficiently.
Yeah.
As much as, when I'm doing that, I'll get enjoyment out of it.
Yep.
But if I was to think of where I bring the most value, or even where others could potentially bring more value, that's kind of, you start to acknowledge your own strengths, but also your weaknesses as well.
Yeah.
Especially as you get older.
Yeah.
I think when you start as a young person, all things are possible and you're great at everything.
Yes.
And as you go on, you go, I'm not great at that, but I'm equally okay that I'm not great at that. I'm not going to flog a horse on trying to get be an expert on that. I'm just going to find the people who are either as a partner or as an employee to do that and do that really well and give me that lens. Because I'm happy to make a decision. Like that's not the problem, but you need the right information around you. And often, when you get good people around you, you're sort of, okay, I'm not only going to hear what you're saying, I'll challenge it. Have you thought about this? But if they've got clarity in it, going, right, I think this is something we need to do. And you take that on board. And I think that for me that's when you get to that point, and I'm not always at that point, but it's a nice feeling to just sort of let go something.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. All right, last thing. So Blunt, as a business, you were the inaugural winner of the Creative Industries Award, the Business Excellence Awards.
Thank you. Congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you. Yeah, cheers. But you've had some good wins, and you've built a great business that's rocking along and performing on the our catchphrase at Hebron Films, performing on the world stage.
Right.
You were doing that, which you're doing really well. Where is Blunt going now? Where are you taking this thing, and what's your vision?
Yeah, look, I think there's things impacting our space at the moment that, like, if people ask me where, say, the design and creative industry was going 5 years ago, I had pretty good clarity around that. What I don't have clarity on is the impact of AI and tools on what we do, it is going to impact.
Yeah, hugely.
But where our value in that is.
Yep.
What I believe at the moment, and it's partially to do with the design part of it, but it's also very much to do with what we do from a strategy standpoint, is the future of a graphic designer is an art director.
Yep.
And I believe that a future of a brand strategist isn't just the process that you go through, but it's the decisions that you make make in going through that process
Yep.
to direct where it's going. So we're becoming more directors of where things should head and where the opportunity is. And the way in which that plays out for us at the moment is if you ask AI for something, what comes back first is okay, and it's going to get better, but it's what we would call the starting point.
Yep.
Now, what we need to be getting really good at is what is beyond that, asking, challenging it, getting it to think about something in a different way, and the movement through that journey to achieve an outcome for a client. That is ultimately something that we're trying to, that's where I believe the value is. That is where we'll certainly head.
It's good.
And we'll adapt to what is certainly changing with our space. How long that will take to sort of progress, I'm unsure, but we're certainly very much in that, in the weeds of working out what that is. I would like us to expand as an agency, so it'd be great to see us get up to, 10, 15 kind of employees, I think. But more importantly than the employees is probably the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
We want to create work that we love doing for a start, that achieves outcomes, that is profitable. So you're a good, profitable business at the scale and just creates opportunity for everyone in the team in that sense as well. But it's, that's the trajectory at the moment is sort of focused on sustainable growth, winning new clients, bringing value there, and just sort of, organically grow off the back of that. Like when we say organically, we're chasing the opportunities. It's not word of mouth, but it's certainly, we scale as we need, and we enjoy the journey in that.
I love that. It would be a whole nother episode to unpack what the impact of AI on your business. It's kind of like the analogy that just popped into my head was, it's like most people have, worked really hard to get themselves like a Toyota Corolla, but then everybody's just been gifted a Ferrari for free. And some people are just flying with it because they kind of already knew how to drive a Ferrari, right? They knew, they had the competency to be able to use that really well. And then there's these other people that are just like spinning out and doing front flips and totaling their cars, right? Because they've been given this incredibly powerful tool for little to no money, but don't know how to use it.
Yeah, and I think, like, we certainly see it as an opportunity. And speaking as a designer, like for not the first time, but probably the first time as well, we've got tools that are enabling us. If we've got an idea, in the past we might have had to step out and get this photographer to do this thing and get this person to do the 3D typography, and we might have all these ideas for how we want something to build out, and you can commit to that and sort of see it and go, oh, actually that's not quite right, or maybe this would have been the right direction. But when you've committed to someone doing something, and that is where you're going. Whereas now what we can do is explore directions of where brands can go, both in a strategy sense and a visual sense, that allow us to find the pathway forward in a efficient, economical, fast way that just gets a better outcome. And for us, if you're a designer who was, let's say you were a very illustration-heavy designer and were known for that illustration style, I could certainly see how you'd be looking at this going, this is awful. People can create this stuff really quick. But if you're not someone who was either a talent in a specific thing and executed only that style, or was only good at one particular style of design. But if you're someone who loves the idea and has a broad depth of ideas in visual application, it's the opportunity. Like you're going, right, okay, I can now execute certain parts of the design, because you've got the designer's eye. You know if something isn't working, you know if it isn't up to scratch, hence why designers are becoming art directors. and you'll be able to execute the idea, but you're not limited by the tool sets. And
So
I've
good.
gone through times where, like Photoshop would come out with a new set of filters, or website builders would come out with the capability to do certain things in the next edition. And in addition, before, you spent 20 hours to go way back on first versions of sort of web building software.
Yeah.
There was this software called PageMill. It was an Adobe thing. And I remember sitting there as a designer, so I'm not a coder. I was a junior designer in an agency, and I wanted to do rollover effects on a button.
Yeah.
I just wanted to change. Things you go, really? You had to that was even a thing you had to work out. But I spent 2 days coding that.
Oh my
And ripping it off a website where it worked, and then working out how to do it. No, there wasn't even YouTube. And I spent 2 days. And then 2 months later, the first edition of Dreamweaver come out.
Yeah.
And I was building a site out in that, and I discovered that they said, what's your rollover? And I thought, what? And I selected the image I wanted as the first image and the rollover one, and it just did it. And it did what I wanted to do within, 10 seconds versus the 2 days I'd spent burning agency time that probably could have been spent better somewhere else in just 2 months.
The perfect meme for this is you are Tom Hanks sitting in the airport party after coming back from being rescued on Castaway, and you're lighting the lighter and fire is appearing.
That is what happened. And I'd hate to think if you were in a coma for 12 months at pre-AI to now as a designer, coming in and going, hang on a minute, can we do this?
Things have changed.
So it's everything that took a lot of time doesn't take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But really making the call on whether it's appropriate, that is still the valid bit.
Yeah.
But for us, it's just thank God I don't have to spend 2 days ripping code off one person's website to get this little thing done, which is question. We can put the value back into other things.
Yeah.
As in making sure.
You've become far more valuable to a client and far more profitable to the business. You can do things that need to be done much faster, which
100%.
means you can get way more ambitious with your outcomes and still maintain profability.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
It's a huge opportunity.
It is.
Wow, that's a mini AI episode right there.
It is.
Brent, thank you so much for joining me in the
Thank
studio. It really honoured that you've spent this time with me.
That was great. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this episode. If you really enjoyed listening, why don't you drop a comment in the comments below? Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you get updates on when all of the next ones come out. That really helps grow this little community of people that are diving into regional business and celebrating and learning more from it. So really appreciate your support, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.